Welcome to the Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. You realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world. Also participate in the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain club rooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30 p.m. local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7 OTC.
Okay, this is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania with our DATV Experimenters Night. And I welcome Rex, VK7MO, into the studio. Hello, Rex.
Hi, Justin.
How you going?
Pretty good. Oh, very happy with the world.
Excellent. Now, Rex has got some very exciting news that we'll get to in a sec. So, to do with very spectacular things happening in the sky. But before I do that, I wish to acknowledge Tasmanian Aboriginal people as the traditional owners of the land and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, the knowledge and the culture and hopes of Aboriginal Tasmania. Now, the reason I've got Rex in the studio is Rex rang me and it was quite an excited phone call.
Yes, Rex was excited.
Rex was excited. Now, when Rex gets excited, everybody gets excited. So, tell us about what you have been doing. So,
okay, let's go on to the first slide.
Let's just go here and start our slideshow.
Okay.
Cool.
Now, this is, to me, a real surprise out of the blue that yesterday we got, I mean, there's always going to be arguments whether they were lightning scatter or not, but I think I can show that there's no doubt that they were.
Okay.
But the first time we got not only one QSO, but three QSOs completed on 1296.
Okay.
And one on 144 at the same time, so we could sort of compare the results.
Okay.
Far as I can tell, looking on the web, well, there's three articles about lightning scatter.
Okay.
Two of them are sort of using a beacon or a TV station and so forth, but there doesn't seem to ever have been a QSO, at least not reported on the web.
Okay. At 23 or at
all.
At all. Oh, sorry, at all. Okay.
Now, I don't think that will be...
I understand why you're excited.
Yeah. Well, some of the stuff on the web implies that it works, but you'd think somebody would have at least reported QSOs on the web.
Well and truly.
The best way of finding out is I'll publish it in Dubus and find out that other people reckon it's...
yeah, and find out whether there's anything else out there.
Yes.
Well and truly. Okay.
So, what was special about yesterday move to the next slide.
Yep.
Now this is a
144,000 of them. Are you kidding me?
yeah. Well, this is a picture that one of the power authorities in Victoria put on their website for the purpose of explaining why all the power went out in Victoria.
That's 544,000 lightning strikes.
That's right. Over 500,000 lightning strikes in a 24-hour period, and
so Tasmania, Victoria, New South Wales, and a bit into South Australia, but not much.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I don't. Obviously, all these lightning strikes themselves triggered power things to go off.
Okay.
As well as that, the winds that accompanied it knocked down towers and so forth.
Big towers.
And sort of last evening, there was 500,000 people in Victoria without power.
Yep.
By this afternoon, it was down to 170,000, and they're saying it might be a week before everyone gets back.
Well, some of those big transmission towers looked in a crumpled mess in a paddock. It didn't look good.
That's right. Now, one of the problems has been, well, we did this experiment, and I was exchanging data with Brody, and then his power went out. And the only way I was able to contact him this morning was when he had gone into town at the supermarket where his phone would work, because obviously the local phone cell tower must have run out of battery or something. So I am lacking a little bit of data from Brody, but I can still tell the story from what he told me.
Okay.
Next slide. Now, Brody and I were just doing our fairly frequent tests on 1296 to see what propagation was like.
Okay.
And Brody said to me, I think I've got a couple of little pings like meteors. And I thought, well, meteors don't work at 1296. And then I got a ping, and a bit hard to see, but
So
that's
a ping.
That's a ping. Now, the reason it's high in frequency is the mode we were using has tones that cover that red.
Oh, that red.
Red. So,
yeah, okay.
So the ping must have occurred with one of the message tones.
So 300 hertz.
Because the actual signal would be centered on 1,000.
Okay.
And if you look at the bottom, you can see that even though that ping was very short in time, the average signal, because that graph averages the signal over, it's a linear average graph, over the whole 60 seconds, and that was much stronger than the actual signal.
Which is 1,000 hertz.
Which is 1,000 hertz.
Which you can sort of see something in there,
yeah.
sort of. Yeah.
Now, there are 3 files there. The first one decoded at -27, and that's the sort of thing that we get when conditions are not real good.
Okay.
And then we got a couple that decoded at -20, and they, if you look at the audio frequency, there's 17 hertz and 14 hertz.
So 3 hertz between them.
That indicates that they were aircraft with Doppler shift. That's
okay.
typical.
Right.
So the signal itself was decoding okay on Q65 on aircraft. But the question is, what mode to use for these short pings?
Okay.
And I said to Brody, well, let's try MSK 441 or 144.
Yep.
Which is designed for meteors and very short pings.
Yep.
So we're going to the next. Now, this is the Bureau of Met's lightning tracker.
Okay.
And this shows where all the lightning is. I don't know the key to that diagram.
Yeah, what's the colour mean? Or is that number in that?
I suspect it's how long ago.
Okay. The strike occurred.
But certainly the white crosses seem to flash as if they're instantaneous.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can sort of see that there was sort of halfway between me and Brody is a bit north of Devonport, and there was a whole lot of activity.
Well and truly.
Lightning activity there.
Fantastic.
So, go to the next slide. Now, these are the decodes. They've sort of rolled rolled back because we're using a different. I'm using PowerPoint and you're using something different.
Yeah. Yep.
But you can see there's. Well, the message is being transmitted plus 10.
Yep.
Now, there's actually a whole lot of RRRs, which all are roughly the same times there. And I don't know whether we can see down to further down, but yeah. But there were 20 decodes.
Oh, okay.
That I got in about 2 hours, and I only got 2 on 144. One of them was exactly the same time as the one on 1296.
145. Yeah. Okay, and that'd be further down.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That was 1.4, and that's 1. Oh no, it's
it's further down.
Yeah,
this one's here.
Yes, and that one, the time's quite different.
Yeah, okay.
So the first question is, why are the pings different between
the two frequencies?
Two frequencies.
Okay.
Now we go to the next slide. Now, this is one of the strongest pings. But this is all, there were 2 pings in this, one at 4.9 seconds in.
Okay.
And you can see that's this one. And then a stronger one, which went up to plus 7 dB. It's 5.9 and 6.
Yeah, okay.
So they're not very long. They're sort of 0.1, perhaps 0.2 of a second long. But decoding quite well.
Yeah.
So
what sort of range does MSK 144 have? Like from how low can it decode to, and how high can it?
In frequency.
Yeah.
Essentially, it almost it's centered on 1500 hertz, and I think it goes to about a bit over 2 kilohertz.
Okay.
And then the same on the low side, so it's probably going from about 400 hertz to.
Yep. And what sort of signal levels can it decode to as well? What can it decode down to and up?
Well, on this exercise, I have had some decodes at -6, but nothing much below that.
Okay.
But bearing in mind, if you only got 0.1 of a second or 0.2 of a second, you can't expect to go down to -20 something.
Because you haven't got the time to average.
To integrate anything.
Integrate.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, now, we'll go on. Now, before Brody's power went off, he did send me... I did catch him at the supermarket today, and I said, could you compare what you got on 1296 and 2 meters? And he says, probably about 40 decodes on 1296 and something like half that.
Okay.
And he said, I'll let you know as soon as the power comes on, which he hasn't. So I think he still hasn't got power on it where he is.
So you got 20, He got 40.
Well, there's a power difference. He's running 50 watts and I'm
running higher.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. We were running the same power on 2 meters though, and I think the 2 meter decodes I got were sort of -4, -6, so I think they're right on the margin.
Okay.
And the problem I've got is my neighbours have got LED lights, which seem to cost me about 5 dB on 2 meters. That wouldn't explain the difference, but it sort of explains why I get
well, not good decode levels.
2 meters.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
But now, before the power went off, he did send me 3 files, which I can now examine if we go on to the next one.
Cool.
And these files decoded like at 2 dB.
Wow.
You can see this one is there, which in terms of time is about 3.3 seconds.
Yep.
There might have been one here, but it didn't decode.
Yeah, okay.
And then in this file, this 5.5.
Yeah, okay.
So, and again, you'd be, they're probably no lower than 0.2 of a second.
So what does it transmit if you're, or is this using, how in 0.1 of a second?
All that information is transmitted in some very small fraction of a second, probably 0.1 is enough.
Flippin' heck. Okay, righto.
That's why you don't get the sensitivity that you can.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because it's basically got to just do a blurt.
Yes.
That's, yeah, okay. And it's got no capacity to repeat it because the pings don't repeat. Yeah, okay.
If the pings repeat, you do get multiple decodes.
Right, okay.
You know, each time, but it's the same message because there's no time.
But the like the signal level might vary or whatever.
And the time varies.
Okay, yes. Wow. Okay.
So, next slide.
Now this is 1296. This is
1296.
Okay.
He didn't have enough time to send me any 2 meter files before he lost power.
Okay. That's next one.
Maybe. Now. Now you can see that in this case there is a line going over the full period.
Yeah.
But there's also a little peak.
Yep.
Which is what decoded at 4.8 seconds.
Okay.
So the aircraft scatter signal, which is reasonably defined on that, you know, you can really you can see it.
Yeah.
It's obviously not the thing that's causing the decode.
Yeah. Okay.
So
it's that.
It's that. So I think that's all evidence that this
aircraft scatter.
No, the decode was done by.
Oh, sorry.
By lightning.
Correct. Because of the duration of that.
Yes, and the timing of that.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Even though there was an aircraft at that time which was producing a very weak signal.
Yep.
But bear in mind that we don't get, even off aircraft, the most we get, well, under poor conditions, which it was, -20, -15.
Yep.
And these short bursts need
above 0.
Yeah, well, we have seen them at -6, but there's another reason why this is clearly a lightning one. Okay, next slide. Now, I've been searching for information on lightning scatter, and this is a paper by F6AGR, which he did some theoretical work and some practical work on 432 with a beacon that was 540 kilometres away. and he was able to get lightning scatter and relate it to whether there was lightning there,
Okay.
which he measured by using a 137 kilohertz receiver to listen to the lightning spots.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Hey.
I don't think that's completely true, because I think if you do get a decode, there has to be a lightning flash as well.
Yep.
But I think you get a lightning flash at 137 gigs if there's lightning anywhere at all.
Anywhere.
Whereas to get it to work on 1296, it's got to be right in the centre of the path.
So was he using the 137 lightning detection to say, and correlating that to him receiving the beacon?
Yes.
Via a path.
Yeah.
And saying, okay, we got a lightning strike. I also got an enhanced signal.
Yes.
Okay.
But I think he would have got a lot of other lightning strikes as well.
Yeah. So you've actually got that paper?
It was on the web.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've extracted a few things. The next slide will show something else from that paper.
Cool.
Now he shows what the maximum frequency is, and I put that in, and basically 5,000 gigahertz. So any radio frequency is gonna work.
Okay.
Next slide. Now he talks about the duration can last several hundred milliseconds.
That would be one of those traces, wouldn't it? Where it goes across the sky. It's not just a strike. It's a trace and a strike, or.
Well, it may be that when he says can last, that's one of the longest ones he had.
Okay.
But it's sort of consistent with the fact. 700 could mean 400.4 per second, and I'm getting maps 0.2.
0.2. Yeah.
So it's in the same ballpark.
Is there any? There's no lightning strike data that includes duration, or like it's just strikes. It's where it hits the ground.
Well, it's not very much where it hits the ground, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay. Sorry. Hold that thought.
He actually, this guy actually says that 80% of strikes are cloud to cloud.
Okay.
And only 20% hit the ground.
Okay.
And that, to me, for us to get the strike over the sort of distances, 500 kilometres plus, I think the strike's basically got to be all of it's high up.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, admittedly, you could use the top bit of something that's about to hit the ground, but
But you do the geometry.
Yes. So I suspect it's mainly cloud to cloud that we're using.
Which is good, because that's 80% of it. That's good.
Yes.
That's excellent.
Next slide.
It's probably good that it's 80% of it up there and not 80% of it hitting
Well,
the
I
ground.
think the reason you mainly see cloud strikes is the cloud's up here, and people see the lightning hit the ground, and you can see it against. Whereas if it's a strike between clouds, it's all obstructed by the cloud.
Correct.
And you don't see it. So this is where he says it's 80% of the flashes are cloud to cloud type.
Okay.
20% cloud to ground.
Well, there you go.
Next slide. Now I sort of tried to make an analogy between what's happening and aircraft scatter, because I've put a fair bit of effort into aircraft scatter, and my assumption is that if it's a cloud to cloud, the chances are it's probably a horizontal flash of lightning.
Okay.
So it's like the wing of an aircraft.
Okay.
This guy actually says that the actual thickness of the lightning, the ionised thing, is only a few centimetres.
Okay.
So it's...
But that's the same as a wing.
Yes.
That's
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And he says they're up to 1 kilometre long.
Woo! That's a big wing.
Yes. Now, the if you use the forward scatter gain, as we do for aircraft scatter, that means 1296 is 19 dB better than 144.
Okay.
However, because 1296 is a small proportion of the wing, the wavelength,
yep.
It's a very narrow beam, and you don't get the full gain when you've got to get round to the curvature of the Earth.
Yep.
But of course, this thing is even narrower, and
Okay.
and when you work out the formula for the width of it, based on a few centimetres, it's basically still a very wide beam.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it's always going to get down to the ground on both 1296 and 144.
Right.
But the difference is, so you're still going to get that high gain
Yep.
of 1296 over 144. The difference is that you'll get a much narrower beam width
Yeah.
in the horizontal plane.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the 144 will be 9 times greater than 1296. So
Okay.
in a rough terms, you'd expect to get 9 times as many pings at 144, but
That's assuming that it's always
Yes.
in a horizontal
Yeah.
plane.
But you're losing that 19 dB, and so the end result is you might have a lot more pings, they're going to be a lot weaker,
Yeah.
and many of them won't register.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
No,
okay,
and
okay.
that's one explanation for why. Now, the same guy points out that one problem is at the start of the ping, you also get direct the noise from the
lightning.
spike.
Yeah. Okay.
And that stuffs up the first part of the ping.
Okay. Okay. One great big spark transmitter.
Yes. Now, I have noticed that there was a lot of sparks on 144,
Okay.
but very few on 1296. So I think that initial spark, I mean, those initial sparks are really bad at low frequencies, as we know.
Well, that's what you hear.
That's right.
That's what you hear.
So I think one advantage of 1296 is that
You don't get that initial.
you don't get that initial
high energy whatever noise.
Combined with the fact that you got more scatter gain, and that might explain why.
The difference between the two frequencies.
Why, that's right.
Okay.
Next slide.
Okay.
Now, from Wikipedia, they sort of imply that lightning scatter has been observed at VHF and UHF, but they don't quote who did it or whether they did QSOs or anything.
Okay.
And then they conclude that there's no practical use of this mode has been found for communications, which is
challenge accepted. Yes. Okay.
Next slide, another Wikipedia.
Okay.
They talk about a maximum of about 1,100 kilometres, which sort of implies that somebody must have done it.
Yeah. Okay. And moved out or in or whatever.
Yeah.
And worked out.
So.
Or is that just purely a geometry?
It might be. Yeah, they're assuming the thing's a certain height, and I mean.
Because clouds occur at a particular
height, and particularly storm clouds get up pretty high.
Yeah.
So,
those big cumulus stacks.
Next slide.
Okay.
And now ZS6BTE, he's written an article,
Yep.
and what he did listened to a TV station. I don't know how far away it was.
Okay.
But he could hear it on Troppo, and he could see the sort of spreading each time.
Okay.
On Spectrum Labs.
Yeah. Okay.
And he says they're between 0.1 and 6 seconds.
Okay.
And he concludes that they last long enough to communicate with fast modes such as FSK441, which has been replaced with MSK441.
Yeah, okay.
So there's a bit of evidence that people have detected it,
Correct.
but I haven't seen any evidence that
there's a contact made.
There's been a contact made.
Ooh.
So the next slide.
This might be a world first, Rex.
It might be.
I can see why you're excited.
Yeah. That's ZPE.
Oh, that's what he received.
And
okay.
That's 6 minutes from
so
there.
So that spreading is each strike, is it?
That's what he's saying it is. Yes.
Okay.
And it's probably an aircraft.
Or going across the path.
You're going across the path there. So next slide.
Okay.
So there's no evidence on the web that anybody's ever completed a QSO on any frequency.
Yeah.
Let alone 1296.
Okay.
And we did it 3 times on 1296 and 1 time on 144 in 2 hour period.
Congratulations, Rex. And Brody.
And Brody.
Yeah, Brody at the other end, if Brody's power's back on.
Well, he'll be able to watch your...
Oh, the stream, yeah. Okay, cool. So congratulations, Brody.
And the lightning decode ceased once the band of lightning on the Bureau of Met site disappeared. I wanted to run that on for a bit longer, but the power went off before we had a chance.
Okay.
But the reality is, we do tests.
Well, you're doing this all the time, mate.
All the time, and we've only seen it this once.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, this was a pretty spectacular event in the sense that took the power off on half of Victoria and
correct.
And so forth. It may have been a one-off, and we were just lucky that we were doing...
Well, now you're looking at not only the ionogram to see the sun activity. Now you're looking at the rain radars and the lightning radars.
Well, that's right. In fact, a couple of months ago, Brody and I were talking. Brody says, "Gee, we've worked each other on so many different modes. Well, now one more."
Well, truly.
And based on this evidence, it looks like 1296 might be a better band than 2 meters.
Well and truly. Have you shared this with Joe, Tony?
I haven't shared it with anybody other than you and Brody.
Oh, well, and you're now sharing it with the world. Yeah, okay. Likely to be a one-off. No, never say never.
I mean, I think if you're in the tropics, it might be different.
Yeah, okay. Where there's... Well, can I just say, there's a whole lot more thunder and lightning storms in the northwest across Bass Strait than there is down here. I know that from staying in Devonport for a little while.
Well, basically, that's where I need them to occur, over Devonport.
Well, over Bass Strait. Yeah. Our side of Bass Strait.
Yes.
So, okay.
So it might happen again.
Oh, you never know.
That's it.
That's it? That is it. Well, fantastic. That, I can see why you're excited now.
Thank you.
Well, true. Wow. Now, I'll just head back just to see. We've got hello Lionel and Ken, ZL4KENZ. We've got Ron, hello, and Andy. And any questions from our streaming viewers? Any questions? Drop them in the chat. that's pretty outrageous stuff. Who would have thought you could bounce a 23 centimetre and a 2 metre signal off lightning, and actually exchange all that information in a 0.1 second ping. But then that's meteor scatter technology. So
That's right.
okay,
Yes.
we're just bouncing it off the ionising trail, not of a meteor, but of a lightning strike.
Yes.
So okay. That is fantastic, Rex. I look forward to seeing whether you get any bites from Jubis or what, or more information, or wow.
Well,
okay.
I've still to get all the files from Brody.
Yeah. Well, I'll leave a slot open for next week in case there's other information that comes to hand.
Yeah.
So, but that's phenomenal. That is off the show. Can I just say, this hobby never ceases to amaze me. There's another thing. There's another mode. There's another application. There's another thing. There's another technology. There's another. Oh my god! And we end up learning more and more about the ionosphere and propagation modes and all sorts of things, which is can I just say, that's one of the reasons that I myself would go to Gibbs Tech for. Yeah. Because you'd come away from a weekend of Gibbs Tech so inspired.
Yeah, well, you see, I've got half a dozen Gibbs Tech talks, which no Gibbs Tech.
No. Well, hold that thought, because November is our 1.5 day, and the format will be much more like Gibbs Tech.
Okay.
So
we might need one on Aurora and one on Lightning.
Well and truly. So now, Paul Pruss, are photons next? Well, Rex has done photons on
Cross Bass Strait.
Cross Bass Strait. So yeah, that was Joe Gelston, bless his heart, Silent Key on Mount Horror, and was Rex on what was it called? The point you were on in Victoria. Anyway,
originally I was on Mount Fatigue.
Yes.
To Mount Horror, which is
we surveyed good. Mount Fatigue.
Were you?
Yeah, no, I was with you because that was on our way to Gibbs Tech.
Oh, I see. But I had too much trouble with the lights from the Bass Strait terminals at Mount Fatigue.
Yeah.
And I finished up at Cape Lip Trap.
Cape Lip Trap. That was what I was thinking about.
Yes.
So down almost at sea level.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Paul, Rex has already done photons.
But I still want to
do it two-way.
Well, I want to do it with the big lens, the 1 metre lens that you've got one.
I've got one, and you've got one, so we can do a. Well, there you go. And the LED technology's absolutely exploded.
Yes.
And in fact, so is the photo multiplier technology, the avalanche photodiodes, and all of that sort of stuff. That's all.
Well, I don't think you can do any better than the one that I use.
There's a photo multiplier in here.
Is there?
that multiplies the scintillation that happens in the end of here when there's radiation.
Yes.
But
I sort of my only worry about doing that is the problem that we had of people reporting that there's a fire on the hill when they see all this red light.
This big red light, yes. So. Anyway, that is fantastic, Rex. Thank you very much for sharing that, and I look forward to the next round of analysis.
Yeah, once we get Brody's files and see if that adds to the story.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, truly.
Okay,
Truly.
thank you.
Fantastic. Okay.
For the opportunity to share it.
And look forward to the next episode. So fantastic. We might just do a bit of a reset of the studio, and I'll grab Tony, and we'll go into our next segment. So thank you very much, Rex.
Thank you. Bye.
Cool. Hang on, we'll leave that in here. So we're back in the studio, and I've got Tony VK7XTC with me. Hello, Tony.
How you going?
Very well. Yourself?
Good.
Now, what Tony has in front of him, and actually, if I go to here, that's a bit better. We've got an AGM battery, which is B heavy. And on top of it is a very nice grey box. So tell us all about the grey box and the use.
The use.
So why did you build a grey box?
For field day, just to power everything up.
Cool.
I used to have everything connected just to the positive and negative, and it was untidy, and and then you had the clips on there from the solar panels. So I thought I can just lift these up, hook the solar panel on.
Okay.
And then the radios are easily connected with the
banana plugs.
The banana plugs.
I love it.
And we've got a voltmeter just to keep an eye on the charge from the solar panel. It's got banana plug sockets on the top in case I want to use them.
Huh. Hey, they're cool.
As well.
Like that.
Yep, and a 30 amp fuse in case something drops across that to protect so it doesn't catch fire, basically.
Okay.
And all the radios are fused anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, that's basically it, and it's stuck down with double-sided Gorilla Tape.
Okay.
Just yeah.
I love it.
And that's it.
Absolutely love it.
So I've got a 160 watt fold-out solar panel and a controller to keep it topped up.
Yeah. So stick that on the bonnet or wherever the sun is.
Yeah, or just on the ground, whatever.
Yep.
I used it in the last field day, and the battery stayed at 13.7 volts for the whole day.
There you go.
Didn't budge. So.
Well, you can't complain about that.
No.
And what sort of power are you running on the
I was using 100 on 6 meters.
Yeah. Okay.
And 50 watts on 2 and 70.
There you go.
So.
Well, you can't complain about that.
No, and I want to get a slide-on camper, so this will eventually go in there just for radios.
Yeah. Okay.
Later on.
So this will be the purely the radio battery.
Radio battery, and then there'll be another battery in there just for the camper.
Okay. Oh, fantastic! Now you've got another little creation here.
Last field day, I took my laptop out for the first time and took a DC to AC inverter with me to power the laptop, and it was really noisy on HF. It was shocking. So I got a DC to DC up converter. Okay. And I haven't tried it. I've tried it, it works, but I haven't tried it to see if it's quiet.
Ah, so. Okay. Well, we can show this on the.
And it's just for the laptop. It's not powering anything else.
That in there, and we can show this on the close up. The close up
Now, actually there. Oh, let me zoom out a bit here. Sorry. Very nice little DC to DC converter. So this takes 13.8 volts in.
It takes 0 to 60 volts in.
Okay.
And I think it's 0 to 40 volts out.
And you set that?
And you can set that with a multi-turn pipe on the board.
Okay, one of these?
Yes. And then you can also set the current limiting with the other pipe.
Ah, okay.
So you can set current limiting on the output.
And it's even fused, actually.
Yes,
it's got a little
fused.
fuse.
Yep. And it's got a header there for a fan as well for the heatsink, but
Okay.
I'm powering the LED off the header for the fan header, just so that I know it's on.
So 0 to 60 in?
I'm pretty sure it's 0 to 60. I have to look it up again, but
Wow. Okay.
yeah. So you can. There's a jumper on the board there. You can change it to either 0 to 60 or 0 to 20. The input.
That's
See the
pretty impressive.
Jumper just in there.
Oh, okay.
You can change the input, the maximum input voltage.
Yeah, 12 to 60
Yeah, there you go.
or 10 to 20.
Yeah, that's it.
It's got it on the silk screen.
And I think the output's up to 40 amps.
Wow.
I believe, but I wouldn't trust it though for that.
With probably a bigger heatsink.
Yeah, but even just a PCB, that kind of current. You know.
Yeah, you're right.
But it wasn't very dear. It was off Fleabay. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Voltage adjust, current adjust. Yeah, okay. Well, I will be absolutely fascinated.
And the laptop only draws when it's charging the battery.
Yeah.
3.1 amps.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm all ears on how noisy it is.
Yeah. Well, the metal box I think should help. Hopefully.
Well and truly.
I'm still deciding whether to ground the box to the battery or not.
Oh well, if you do leave it ungrounded, if it's noisy, ground it, and if it improves,
Yeah.
make it permanent.
So that's it. That's just all for field day.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
So,
Well, you're getting your field day. The next thing you need is your slide-on camper
Yeah.
on the back of the ute.
yeah.
That would be, because then you could have a sort of a semi-permanent arrangement.
Well, you can leave everything inside it too. So
Correct.
you just back up to it, put it on, drive
Oh,
away.
truly.
You don't have and chuck some food and maybe a blanket. You know,
I love it.
a bucket for toiletries.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's it.
Fantastic, Tony.
So Scott was the one that mentioned I should have had a circuit breaker.
Yep.
I couldn't find what I wanted from J-Car.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they either had 20.
Or
No, they had 25 going down. They didn't have anything any higher.
that might be.
Yeah. They only had the push button circuit breakers. They
Yeah.
didn't have anything else.
Okay.
So this is 30 because the Icon will take 20 amps on full power on transmit,
Okay.
and the other Yaesu, the FTM 400,
Okay.
will do 10 amps on transmit on 50 watts.
Right.
So I got that at 30, which should cover the radios because you're never using both at the same time.
Yep. Yeah.
And the duty cycle. So, but that's mostly just in case I drop a spanner across that and I've got them undone or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Just safe. Just safe. Or if you're driving around a corner and something happens to line up against it or whatever.
Yeah.
Something silly like that. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic.
so that's it.
I love it.
Cool.
That is fantastic. And you're slowly getting your field day.
Yeah, getting the
arrangement
stuff together.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's much else now.
Okay.
So I've got to try this out next one, and if it's quiet, it'll be good.
Okay.
So just repurposing an old laptop, there's no point getting another one.
No.
So
No.
no.
I managed to.
It doesn't connect to the internet. The only thing on it is a logging program.
Yeah.
There's nothing else on it.
Okay.
So,
Okay. That's good. So cyber safe.
yeah. Well, it's only running XP, so
Right.
I don't want it to connect.
You really don't want it connected to the internet. Believe me.
And there's nothing personal in it.
Correct.
So,
Okay. Well, I managed to drop 24 volts AC, which is, surprise, surprise, a rotator voltage,
oh yeah.
across my 5 volt Arduino, which made it go FUT very quickly. And also, I noticed a couple of days after that, has blown up because I happen to have the Arduino connected via USB to a USB port on my notebook.
That's taken the port out.
And it's taken both ports out.
Oh, no. But could that just be a 0 ohm
quite possibly
fuse?
But of course, being a notebook, you have to take every
multiple layers apart,
friggin' thing apart. I'm actually really hoping that the USB ports, maybe fingers crossed, are actually on a separate board. Now they might just be on the motherboard, and that's it.
That's tiny work too.
I've done it. But anyway, it's one of those moments where you went, I put everything down, turned the soldering iron off, and walked out of the house and just went for a walk.
Oh yeah, well.
Like, at least I didn't blow up the notebook totally. Which is good, but you just do those sort of things. So this sort of circuit protection, I never skimp on it.
No, I actually hadn't thought about it until Scott mentioned it, and and I'm happy enough with the fuse.
Yeah,
I'll just take a spare one with me, but
yep.
The likelihood of that happening would be pretty rare, but you never know.
I know, and you only need to slip or do something, and
that's it.
Well, that's fantastic, Tony.
Cool.
I look forward to the report on the.
Well, I can test it at home. I can hook it up to my power supply in the shack and turn HF on and plug the laptop in and have a listen. So
okay. Yeah.
It was noisy on 6 meters on field day, so I'll just check for 6 meters. And
Okay.
If it's quiet, it'll be great.
Fantastic.
I think solid state's got a bit more of a chance to be quiet. So.
Well, in the box and everything,
that's
actually a good move. So good stuff. All right. Okay, we're going to do a quick reset, and then I'm going to show you some absolutely beautiful pieces of equipment. Not saying this isn't beautiful. This is very beautiful, but
it's tidy.
Can I just say, this is 1950s over the top.
I love the old stuff.
Over the top. Well, you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to stay. I just need to help you down with that.
Yes.
So hold that thought. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back in the studio, and now just let me... Winterfield Day, you might want some warmth. Very good, Paul. Self-resetting polyfuses probably cost too much. I think you might be right there, Sean. Did you build the tech lectern? Well, there you go. Yep. I'll let you two talk among yourselves. So, now, what we have... for those who saw the program a couple of DATV nights ago, you would have seen the Cambridge Precision Portable Potentiometer. So I managed to work out how to get this apart. It is an absolutely beautifully made piece of equipment. The case is just beautifully made. Everything's tongue and groove. It is just off the show. So I managed to get this apart and was absolutely amazed with the technology and the absolute thing of beauty that this thing is. They honestly do not make anything like this these days, or else you would be paying squillions, absolutely squillions for it. So there were two things. Which were an issue in here, and I mentioned them when I was demonstrating. The very first one was this pot here. Which you can see there are two resistance wire tracks on this Bakelite wheel, and the two wipers here had slipped off the track. These screws on the wiper had actually become had loosened off, and so that was the first fix. A very easy fix. That wiper, which is the 0.10 to 0.1 millivolt scale. This is the rheostat which creates that. That now works wonderfully. Now the other thing you'll notice here, there are two bits of wire here which were soldered to the. Whoops! That's a bit. My water bottle just decided to leak. So they were connected to a little box, which is this little tube, which has on the side of it EMF equals 1.01860 volts at 20 degrees C, and the temperature constant is minus 40 microvolts per degree C, written on here. Now this particular device sat in this little bracket. This is the Western standard cell that supplies the 1.01860 volts through a chemical reaction, a mercury chemical reaction. Now there was not 1.018 volts in there. This is the mercury Western standard cell that was in there. You can see there are two areas, two poles, if you like, and it's a mercury oxide. No, it's not a mercury oxide. Mercury cadmium, I think. Reaction. I stand corrected on that, but a Western cell reaction is reasonably well known, and it creates a standard voltage of 1.018, and the next two digits are dependent on the temperature. And so this is a standard cell. I managed to get it out of there in one piece. And unsoldered the leads. Now, unfortunately, this cell is only giving about 0.05 of a volt on its side. So there is something wrong with the chemical, or it's just exhausted. That's the other thing, because you cannot draw any current through a standard cell. Absolutely no current. It will destroy itself. So you need to be very careful not to draw current through it. It is purely a voltage constant source. On the top of here, there was a little label which is the Cambridge Instrument England Company Limited standard cell, and the standard cell. The Cambridge Instruments logo that sat on the top of here. inside the standard cell. And so that's the Western standard cell. Now, unfortunately, the Western standard cell in this particular device is not working. I do have another Western standard cell which I actually showed a few DATV nights ago, which I can use in here. There is another one that I actually have that is putting out the 1.018 volts. So I'm thinking about whether I change it or I actually try and get one of those standard cells. Now they're not, they aren't cheap, and they don't use standard cells anymore. They use another technique to get a constant voltage, which is actually an RF technique. I could do a little program on that all by itself. But anyway, now I'll go into this is the main dial, which is the 0 to 100 millivolts scale. It is a 1 millivolt click range, and the way that they do that is this particular device in the middle here. This is all a printed circuit board. This is resistance wire, loops of resistance wire for each of them. Absolutely phenomenal arrangement. There is an arrangement for the wiper that goes onto the common and then onto each of the different segments for the calibrated potentiometer. Now, these here are phenomenal. These are multi-turn rheostats, and it slowly works its way up the resistance spiral. And so there is a mechanism with a thread and a spiral on it. You can see this is compressing all the way up to the end, and then it hits the stop. And then another version of this is down here. There is a coil of wire for the length, and it slowly winds its way up the coil of wire. There's a wiper, and until it gets to the very end. So multi-turn pots, very similar arrangement with multi-turn pots, but I can guarantee they are nothing like this particular device. It is phenomenal. This black box here is the galvanometer. The galvanometer is you can see it's clamped right at the moment. If I release it, you can see it moves. It's a very sensitive device. You always clamp it when you're not using it, and that sits inside that particular hole and connects to these terminals here. And then there is a couple of resistors, fixed resistors down here, as well as the switches, etc. There's a little this potentiometer right here. This particular potentiometer just has a single turn, and it's very similar to this one here, except it's only got a single bit of resistance wire on the and then this is just a multi-turn wafer switch to set what the supply and the terminals that you actually want to use. So it's just an absolute thing of beauty. They just don't make these anymore. I'll just quickly show you the box as well. The box is a thing of beauty in its own. It is all tongue and groove, mortise and tenon, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the wood is, but it's myrtle or something. It's yeah, the way it all goes together. There are four holding bolts, and then one here at the back of the galvanometer to hold the galvanometer in place. So there you go. So that's that's the Cambridge Instruments potentiometer. in all its glory. I have fixed one of the problems, but I need to work out what I'm going to do for the voltage reference. There are other voltage references that are available, solid state voltage references. I'm not quite sure whether we can get to the sort of accuracy of a Western cell, but looking into what the options are. So yeah, that's the Cambridge Instruments potentiometer. Now, how are we going for time? It's 8:35. I'll wrap it up at that. Next week, we will actually be featuring the radio code 103, radiation level meter, dose meter, and spectrometer, all in one instrument. And so we will be looking at a whole lot of radiation sources with that particular device, and also the phone application and maybe the PC application that goes with it, that enables you to do tracking and spectrograms and all sorts of things. So anyway, that's our show for tonight. Thank you. Now, Paul's given a circuit breaker option there. So yeah, I hope you've got something out of tonight. The lightning scatter, it blows my mind. Not lightning scatter on 23 centimeters. You've got to be kidding. Just off the show. Absolutely off the show. Very quickly, we'll finish off with our space weather report, Australian space weather report. We've got alarms in all. HF comms warning, degraded HF conditions for the 14th and 15th. Oh, and happy Valentine's Day too. This is our Valentine's Day edition. I hope you've showered things on your Valentine. Degraded conditions for the 14th and 15th due to the CME arrival from the 13th. There is comms HF fade out warnings on the 14th and 15th, R1 and R2 with a chance of R3, so actually pretty significant fade out warnings, and a geomagnetic warning on the 14th, which is a G1 with a chance of it going to a G2. So their conditions are a little bit variable at the moment, is how I read that. So good luck. AGM and special general meeting on Sunday. This Sunday, we start off with a free barbecue sausage sizzle at noon on Sunday, and then we will go into the AGM and SGM at 1 p.m. So please come up, grab a snag, have a drink, and then we'll head into the AGM and the SGM. So that's your blooming lot for this week. This is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night, and we'll see everybody at the AGM. And we'll see you, Paul, and we'll catch everybody next time, all about radiation and radiation monitoring. So there you go. 73.